dashur teleshikues të televizionit të shqiptarëve të Amerikës, është kënaqësi që në këtë përvjetor të 95 të kishës së Shën Thomait të kemi këtu kryepeshkopin e kishës shqiptare tradicionale, kishës së Fanolit, atë Nikodhim, i cili është ka ardhur këtu me rastin e këtij përvjetore. How do you evaluate the long time tradition of the Albanian Church, Orthodox Church, and the status of that nowadays?
Of course, Zemra, it's my heart, the Albanian Orthodox Church. It is a special community. Here in America in particular, it is a special community because the roots of our people are rich, they are deep. And for the time of such terrible absence in Albania, the fire of faith was kept burning here. Now, thanks be to God, we are able to practice our faith not only here in America, but also in Albania. And this is a great joy and a privilege to be a part of this people, a part of this community. To be honest, everywhere I go in my diocese, I am sitting down with the same family, many times literally. Oh, my cousin is here, my cousin is there, my godfather is here. There are no strangers among us. We are one family of faith, and for this I am so eternally grateful to God, but also to those who work so hard to keep our churches places of holiness, beauty, and welcome.
Are you working to bring more pre-Albanian priests in the American Albanian diocese?
We are working to bring more peace, period. My answer to this is, of course, ideally I would love to have a priest who is fluent in Albanian and fluent in English for each of my parishes. And for this, I need the children. I need the sons and the daughters to be deacons, to be priests, to be monks, to be nuns, to be bishops of our people. We want those who are here to be able to serve as broadly as possible. We are working always to educate our people and to show, especially our young men, that this is a path, and for them to listen, hopefully, to the voice of God and to follow this path, both from Albania and from the churches here in America, where their families have been for generations.
How do you feel being on the shoes of the first Archbishop Fanoli?
I, of course, am very grateful, but he is now 2 generations behind us. I am grateful most especially for the fathers whom he knew, who have passed this tradition on to us and to me. The ever-memorable Archbishop Nikon, and of course the ever-memorable Proto-Presbyter Arthur Lyelin. Both men I knew well, both I was mentored by in a certain sense. I was grateful and continue to be grateful to call them fathers, my fathers. Archbishop Nikon ordained me a psalt, deacon, priest, and monk, and as a new priest in the church in New York, who was my first phone call when I had questions, when I had concerns, Arthur. Faithful men. So the tradition of Noli is one that is handed down not through books exclusively, though he was a prolific writer, poet, so many translator, all of these things, father of the nation, but it is handed down in the traditions of our people. It is a gift to me that in all of my time as a pastor, I have known people, mostly now they are very old, who remember him, who have stories of him, who remember him as small children and the visits that he would make. We think of him as a man of power, which he was, but also he was a small man and a man of great humility who taught our people to be faithful people. This we can only be thankful to God for. Of course, for me, it is an impossible thing to live up to that legacy, but as the old saying goes, I do what I do because I stand on the shoulders of giants.
Thank you very much. And the last word for the 95th anniversary of this church.
What else is there to say but për shumë vjet, many more, Thank you for coming and being with us today. It is a privilege, and this is a place of welcome for Albanians and non-Albanians, for Christians and for people of other faiths. This is a place where they are welcome to come. And so the people here, the children of this place, they are to be thanked. Who am I? I am only the one who comes every now and then to receive the gift of their hospitality. They are the ones who keep the doors open, and we wish them many, many more years and strength as they continue to do God's work.
Thank you very much.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Qeni qell, kush i ndroft e mbryt, ardh mbretëria jote, u bev dëshira jote, si një qell edhe mbi dhe. Bukën tonë të përditshme jepna neve sot, dhe falna i fajit tona skundër dhe ne u falin fajtorëve tanë. Dhe mos na shtjerën nga asje, por shpëtona nga i ligu.
Se joti është mbretëria dhe fuqia dhe lavdia jati, i dhe Shpirti Shenjtë tani jep herënjetje të vamin mëshiro Zot, Lord have mercy, mëshiro Zot. Christ God, bless the food, the drink, and the fellowship of these thy servants, that we may do thy will for thou holy, always now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen. Për shumë i vjet, mboftë mirë.
Për shumë vjet o kryezo, për shumë vjet o kryezo, për shumë vjet o kryezo. As we all know, we had like përfaqësues nga shoqata Vatra, members of Vatra Society, the Catholic Church, and I got like a very touching message from the president of the Vatra organization in New York. I'd like to thank everybody here for whatever we achieved together in all those 95 years. It's a great achievement we got. We carry the cross, and let's be loving to each other and be carrying the cross for many years to come. Thank you for coming tonight.
I just want to say thank you to so many, but especially to this man who's trying to sneak away. Edwin loves this church, and even if he said nothing, we would know this by the fruit of his hands. God bless you, thank you, and keep you. But he does not do things alone. So if he asks for something, he asks for me. He asks for us, all right? If he asks your help, he doesn't come as his own convenience, but he comes as an emissary of the good work of the people of St. Thomas. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've been selected to perhaps give a little history of how our St. Thomas the beginning of St. Thomas. And if you go back and check the records, Rocky Kamenitsa had a group of people over at his house back in the 1929. And they were talking about building a church, new generation of Americans. And what happened is the Great Depression came. The crash where there was a rush on the banks, and we didn't have another meeting discussing church. People were trying to take care of their families and get going again, and it did get started, the Great Depression, and then the New Beginning. President Roosevelt initiated one of the things with Social Security. Many of you people out there may be on Social Security. I'm not, but anyway, that was the start. And then in politics being what they are, they've tried to repeal Social Security many times, but now it's here to stay. Anyway, in 1937, there was a program of revitalization. Now that people were finding how to feed the family, and now they started to focus on the New Beginning. Now, I'm not going to try and name all the old-timers that helped put this together. Ralph's shaking his head over there. All the old-timers were responsible for putting this all together. But anyway, in 1938 was the the great new generation beginning. But the first church, now up until then, and near as I can see, is they rented places to have services. But the new church was started in 1943. The first religious services were on 14th and Antoinette. Now, for you people that don't know the city, that's right below Ford Hospital where 14th ends and the beginning of the near downtown. Anyway, that's where the first services were held. And Father Evangelis Mos, I guess his name. And then he was followed by Father Rado. And I've got a list of all the priests that we've had, and I'll pass them on to the bishop because he requested that from me. But anyway, in 43 was the religious service at 14th and Antoinette. Then in 1956, they got together and they fundraised to build a new church. Some of you people will be familiar with that. It was on Oakland Boulevard. And Oakland Boulevard and Wyoming, I believe it was. And I remember the church had not been, the Oakland, Wyoming one, the church had, the Farmington Hills one followed that one later on. And that was in 1980. And the construction of that one, we had not even had pews in the church. We just had, we hadn't even had occupancy then. And then we had a death in the Gorgas family. Elfrida passed away, and we opened the church without pews just to have the service there, which was a sad beginning, but she died at a young age. Anyway, I just was trying to give you a little bit of the history of the church, but perhaps the best way to sum this up, first of all, the board does a woman's job of keeping it going. Everybody knows what our current chairman has done. He works like a horse. And one of the things the board does is they have to come up with the funds. First, they come up with a budget, and then they come up with a way to try and get the budget passed through the congregation. And they have to ask the congregation to come up with the money to support the budget. So this brings to mind a few words of the comedian Flip Wilson. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but Flip Wilson was in the Negro churches, the black churches in Detroit, and he gave a talk about fundraising. And what Flip Wilson's church was called the Church of What's Happening Now. And he was funny. Anyway, he said, the Church of What's Happening Now. If you know, in the black churches, the parishioners respond to whatever the priest says. When the priest gives his lecture, he all hollers out, "Can I get an amen?" And they shout, "Amen, brother." So Flip was trying to raise money to get his church going, but he gave a talk about how in order for a church to begin, it has to learn how to crawl first. And following learning how to crawl, he says, and the congregation said, "Let it crawl, brother, let it crawl." Then he says, after that, we have to learn how to walk. And the congregation responded, "Let it walk, brother, let it walk." Last but not least, he said, in order for the church to continue, it has to learn how to run. And in order for the church to run, it's going to require donations and fundraising to get the money to get this church running. And the congregation shouted out, "Let it crawl, brother, let it crawl." Thank you for your attending today, and thanks for the hospitality and letting me speak. I usually say, I remember the songs when my family was young. They would sing "Saboku Roya Meku Ishmabashka," and I butcher the Albanian. If you people that can really speak Albanian, I speak old-fashioned Albanian. But whenever I see two people speaking Albanian, I go up to them and I say, "Be careful what you say because un maravesh."